Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope that everyone is having a good week and that everyone is in good health and taking care of themselves. The purpose of this video today is to talk you through the prompts that I posted a few days ago, but just to kind of talk through it and make sure everything is clear. And it's the prompt for the submission ready pedagogical article. So it should reflect in a lot of ways what we have talked about in conferences, as well as what you've been seeing in the examples. And a lot of what I ended up writing here took what you ultimately were noticing in some of your classwork and conversations about the examples. So there shouldn't be anything new or surprising that is introduced here. The other thing that I want to spend some time on today is global feedback based on what I've been seeing in the portfolio assignments and your drafts of those, and just some ideas and maybe a stronger criteria for what you should be revising as you move towards submitting that final draft of the portfolio assignment. And once again, that will be due this coming Monday at midnight. So just taking you through this now, this is just kind of an overview as a reminder of the things that we've done in order to prepare for this assignment. So over the course of the last few weeks, you've spent time researching an educational topic that is of interest to you. You have devised a focused research question about a specific issue, and you've read a wide range of sources which offer multiple perspectives on this issue. Additionally, you've had the chance to read and review English journal articles in order to gain a better sense of the genre. So my hope is that having the opportunity to look at those examples over the past few weeks, as well as the student examples, as well as having some time to really kind of figure out what that inquiry question is and gather sources, has really prepared you for the writing process. The assignment is worth 20% of your grade. Purpose and focus, your purpose is kind of threefold, and for most of you in conferences, I did discuss these kind of three different sections. And my hope is that thinking of your organization this way will allow you to streamline the way in which you incorporate your sources and evidence. So you have three basic things that you want to be doing here. The first is to identify a specific and exigent issue or problem within our education system, to explain why this problem matters, and to offer ideas for how teachers can best respond to this issue, and potentially to show them how. Right? So that solution section can also include materials that you're offering in order to give them some sort of concrete actionable items. Your audience, as we've talked about many times in class, is public school teachers. And then depending on whether or not you want to write to English Journal or Voices in the Middle, your audience would be a high school or middle, your audience would be narrowed to high school or middle school teachers respectively. And then you can make the assumption that your readers are likely teachers who teach in the humanities, English, social studies, that kind of thing, since that tends to be the focus of many of these articles. So genre conventions is going to be the longest section because this is what we've been kind of pulling together and looking at over the past few weeks when we've been looking at examples, when we've been looking at student samples. These are the kinds of things that I is encouraging you to pull out, and a lot of this again has come from the group work that you did before break. All right, so starting with purpose and focus, and this is a sort of hierarchy that I've created, so just kind of an awareness. So be aware that the criteria up at the top is going to be weighted more heavily than the criteria at the bottom. So first and foremost, it's going to be important that you establish and connect your ideas in your paper by fully explaining and contextualizing the problem, demonstrating why it matters and how it impacts educators, and providing strategies which teachers might implement to respond to this problem. So making sure that your purpose stays focused in that way, and that the evidence that you're choosing actually does support those ideas. You want to offer evidence from at least 7 credible sources to support your assertions about both the problem and the solution. And your research should represent a range of perspectives and approaches to your issue. I mean, I would say 7 sources is probably the minimum you want to go with an article like this. You could definitely use more, but for something like English Journal, you're going to want to have at least 7. Work to incorporate your sources smoothly and help your readers see how the evidence supports the ideas you present. It's just going to be really important that you're developing your points. Again, we oftentimes think that our evidence speaks for itself or our research speaks for itself, but we want to really make sure that we're helping our readers see those connections. Moving further down to the section on support, I would recommend that more than half of your sources are scholarly sources or articles from trade journals. So English Journal is an example. It's not necessarily considered a scholarly source, but it is an educational trade journal. So something along those lines that is really going to heighten your credibility, which is something that's important in terms of the review and submission process. Your evidence should also include something that supports those concrete strategies that we've talked about. So this could be materials or visuals. It could also be resources, links, but something that really shows your reader what the solution you're proposing looks like. And then in addition to your sources to support your ideas, you should also draw from your own experience in the classroom as a pre-service teacher or as a student. This is something that just really matches with the genre of English Journal in general, of that particular publication. Oftentimes, the pieces have that kind of human element in their writing. And the last thing that I want to say about support is, as I said, you don't need to have all scholarly sources. As long as more than half of your sources are scholarly, you should be okay. However, with the popular sources you choose, you want to make sure they're sources that are generally considered credible. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, that kind of thing. The Economist is great. And if you find that you're unsure as to whether or not you should use a particular source, make sure you get in touch with me or run it by me, and I can let you know. All right, the next few bullets have to do with appeals, which is something that we've been talking about since early on in the class. We talked about it in regards to blog posts as well as the portfolio assignment. So I'm not going to read through all of these, but just kind of give a brief overview. You want to make sure you're engaging your reader with an introduction. You also want to be thinking about the kinds of things that teachers value and care about, and how can you show them why this is something important, why this is an issue that is important to them. And thinking about how you might do that as you're developing your ideas. And if you want to see how a writer does this, I would say that the 2 strong examples, student examples, are really great for that. If you have more specific questions about what this looks like in writing, that might be a good reason to come by office hours. And then kind of thinking about your organization, making sure that your evidence is organized in a way that makes logical sense and that you're thoughtfully considering the way that you move from one paragraph to the next, that you're using clear topic sentences and transitions to help your reader get a sense of what it is that you're going to be talking about in each of your paragraphs. And then getting to kind of more of the nitty-gritty down here. And this comes straight from the call for manuscripts listing, but you want to make sure you have a works cited page formatted in MLA as well as in-text citations. All of the information you need for that is on OWL, and at this point in your college career, I shouldn't necessarily have to take you through all that. However, if you do have specific questions about in-text citations or about citing correctly or about a particular source, I'm happy to talk it over with you. But the best place to go for that is OWL. Document double spaced with standard margins. Again, all of that information is on OWL. Your article should be roughly 2,500 to 4,000 words. And then maintain an academic tone throughout your article, paying close attention to spelling and grammar. And then finally, just some last minute details. You want to provide an explanation here, you know, and this can be a sentence at the bottom or at the top of your article where you just let your reviewer know that it hasn't been published or submitted anywhere else. And then you want to make sure that you ensure that the manuscript conforms to the NCTE Statement on Gender and Language. And I have put that link under this week's module, so you can kind of give a read through of that at some point before you turn in your final draft. And then timeline, you have 3 substantial paragraphs due by tonight. Sorry, not tonight. By Friday, April 24th at midnight. I had a question on page length for that, and I think around 2 pages is probably you're definitely good if you've hit 2 pages. A little bit less than that is okay. You have a rough draft or peer review draft due Monday, May 4th, and you're welcome to submit before this time so as to avoid having something substantial due during dead week. But I wanted to give time to those who need it. And then a second round of conferences will be during dead week so that we can kind of talk through specific things that I'm seeing in your draft. And then your final draft will be due Wednesday, May 13th at midnight. And that is the Wednesday of finals week. So I know I said that I would also include global feedback here on your portfolio assignment, but because of the time constraints with this platform, what I think I'm going to do is wrap this up and then create another video with the global feedback on it, as well as offer some suggestions for those revisions to your portfolio assignment. However, I just kind of want to close out talking about the pedagogical article. If there's anything on this prompt that feels confusing, not feasible, or that you would like to talk through with me, I really recommend shooting me an email or coming by office hours. This week I have office hours 12:30 to 3:30, and you'll see the sign up link for time slots in modules as well as the Zoom link. So yeah, any questions, please let me know. I hope this helped to clarify what we talked about in conferences, and I really, really am looking forward to seeing everybody's research and all the great things that you're able to do with that research. All right, have a great day.